Viewers, there are 6 phases to go in Bengal. Today, Times Now is taking an assessment of the battle, and its insight team led by Amar Srivastava has done some math to project the magic numbers required by the Bhartiya Janata Party if it wishes to realize its dream of unseating Mamata Banerjee and installing a BJP chief minister in Bengal. Now, here are the equations. Remember, this is not a projection, because that will get us into trouble with the Election Commission, but a psephological trend extracted from legacy data that is freely available to all of you to interpret. Now, what does this legacy data tell us? First, let's focus on how the BJP made inroads in Bengal. And you can see the story. The TMC in 2016 assembly polls, viewers, had 211 seats. The left had 33, the Congress 44, and the BJP single digits, only 6 seats. But by 2019, in a period of 3 years, powered by the Prime Minister's image, the BJP led in at least 121 assembly segments. Now, that is astronomical. If you just look at the vote share of this, you will see that the BJP came in 2016 from 11% to 41%, a jump of 30%, viewers. It's a massive, massive jump. The TMC already in the lead poll position, in fact, lost 1%. You can see the left and the Congress were totally decimated. So the entire vote bank swung really to the BJP. You just do the maths on that and you will see it. The biggest impact of the Modi wave was felt really by the left and the Congress, completely booted out. Now, viewers, now that we have set it up and told you how things stand, if BJP wants to obviously win this election, it has to do better than that 41% that is shown on your screens. So let's have a look. What does BJP need to win Bengal? Let's go step by step. There are about 5 scenarios we've done for you, viewers. Now, 41% is their existing vote share as per the Lok Sabha election projection. If there is a swing of just 1%, the BJP will increase its tally from, viewers, 121 to 135. So that is a jump of about 14 seats. The TMC's tally will come down to 150. That's a loss of 14 seats. Now, if it's a 2% swing in its favor, then look at this. BJP, by a slim margin, makes it 155 seats. The TMC comes down to 130. Now, many opinion polls are showing this to be a very tight contest. In fact, Times Now C Voter poll gave the TMC 154, 154 if I'm not mistaken. So just the reverse of this number. And the BJP around 121, 112. So that is how things stacked up. But viewers, if there is a greater swing of 2%, then the BJP rushes to that 200 mark. But that doesn't matter right now. Let's look at what happens if there is a swing away. Now, this is very crucial, viewers. A swing away from the BJP of 1% or 2%. What does it mean? 1%, remember, we have seen historically that the BJP doesn't always replicate its Lok Sabha success. So, if 1% it loses from how it did in 2019, then BJP ends up with 110 and the TMC very comfortably perched at 175. If it's a 2% loss from 2019 of vote share, then the BJP in double digits, that's what Prashant Kishore is hoping will happen. Will it? Will it not? We don't know. But now let's look at this. If the BJP has to increase its 2019 vote share, that's the big takeaway. All it needs to do is to win at least 2% of the vote share. Now, viewers, let's look at the strike rate factor. This is very, very important. Let's look at the next graphic and pull it out. The BJP strike rate. Now, what we have seen is that in 2019, in the phases, if you just break up these seats, remember, in 2019, it was a 7-phase election. So what we've done is taken all those seats in those various phases and mapped them to the phases that are going to poll in this election. So if you were to look at that, the BJP in phase 1 in 2019 bagged 20 out of 30 seats, which is a conversion rate or strike rate of 67%. 12 out of 30 in the second phase, which is 40%. Now that's the phase that has just gone past. Phase 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 are phases where in fact the BJP did very well. 43, 49%, 43%, 44%. It's only in the last stage, last phase, where it didn't do so well. So the BJP will want to actually replicate this strike rate. Now, if the BJP retains its 2019 strike rate in phase 1 and 2, viewers, then the remaining seats will be 234. That will be the remaining seats. Now, viewers, seats needed for BJP to win, it's very simple, is 148 minus 32, which is 116. The strike rate required will be 50%. So if it continues to win, every other seat it contests, it's home. If the BJP improves its strike rate by 10% in phase 1 and phase 2, the strike rate will go up to 63%. The seats won in phase 1 and 2 will be 38 out of the total that we have just talked about, which is 60. And then, viewers, the remaining seats will be 234, which means that the BJP will need to only win 110 seats. Strike rate will come down from half, that is 50%, to 47%. But if the BJP's strike rate declines by 10% in phase 1 and phase 2, if it doesn't go according to what Amit Shah has calculated, the strike rate of 43% difficult to maintain, what you will see then is that there will be a remaining 234 seats because the BJP will have only been able to win 26 out of 60. The seats needed for the BJP to win will be 148 minus 26, which is 122, and the strike rate will be 52%, which is a big ask. It's not easy. So having set this up, I want to bring in Yashwant Deshmukh. Yashwant Deshmukh, there are 6 phases that are remaining. The BJP has to strike at the very least. If it hasn't done so well in phase 1 and phase 2, then it will have to at least get 50%. If it has, however, done very well in phase 1 and phase 2, that is, it improves its strike rate by 10%, then it only needs to strike at 47%. That is just a little less than 1 seat out of 2 it contests. But basically, to be really safe, it needs to convert 1:2 seats from here on. Is that possible? Do you see it?
Well, everything is possible. It's 1 week is a long time in politics, Rahul. And when we had aired our last tracker before the elections started, the gap between TMC and BJP was approximately, you can say, 50 odd seats, and that gap of 50 odd seats can be reversed just flipping 25 odd seats. Now, with the 8-phase election, if you look into that, that averages out to roughly about 3 seats to be flipped in every phase.
Yeah.
So what we are looking at, if the BJP wants to take over the TMC, initially we are looking at the basic equation of flipping 3 assembly segments on top of their lead in the Lok Sabha elections with each phase. And if you look into the phases that have gone already and the way it is going as per the election calendar, the first phase was the BJP stronghold, that's the Jangal Mahal area where they had performed very, very well during the Lok Sabha election.
Yeah.
The second phase was the one where, you know, Suvendu Adhikari and that kind of phase came in, which was supposed to be and is supposed to be the phase where they can snatch something from TMC, and TMC stronghold starts from there. So by the time you are ending the election cycle, you are going to enter the Mamata strongholds. So in the initial phases, BJP has a lot of stake to lose. In the last phases, Mamata has a lot of stake to lose. That's how it is evenly balanced.
Oh, so that's...
But you are right in your assessment that in a 8-phase election, 6 weeks over the period, it is only a matter of 3 seats flipping in each phase.
Absolutely, 3 seats. And that's really the number that we have to look at. And that's very well crunched, Yashwant Deshmukh. Now, let me ask you a cheeky question. And I don't want absolute truth from you, as in exact numbers, because then the EC will haul both you and I, and we will be held in contempt of the poll code. But I want to ask you, you've obviously been carrying out simultaneously an exit poll after phase 1 and phase 2. Now, what is it looking like? Is it a tight one? Is Amit Shah's prediction of a sweep in phase 1 and phase 2 looking like something that is not out of the extraordinary, or has Mamata somewhere or the other staunched this BJP sweep prediction?
Well, I'm not at liberty of giving any indication whatsoever from the exit poll data, Rahul, but what I can share with you is the experience that our team is facing or going through in West Bengal right now. Yesterday, there was a violent attack on our research team in Nandigram and surrounding area. Few researchers really got seriously injured. And for the first time, we are watching a scenario where the researchers and the bona fide ones carrying their identity cards and even the letters and everything in place, they are being attacked. And that is a scenario which we have never witnessed so far, even the worst of the situations. So what I can say, that there is a lot of fear, lot of spiral of silence, if you may say it that way, and intimidation that is going on. And that only tells us that the kind of struggle, the kind of fight that is going on in each and every seat, it is probably going to be for each and every seat, fight to the finish kind of thing. And that is something which alarms us, because whenever as a researcher you are facing with a lot of silent voters, that is something which makes you uncertain about
very problematic. So how will you then come up with your exit poll projection at the end of this election? Because before May 2, you will have to, this will become fraught with uncertainty, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as a team leader, my prime concern was the safety and security of the entire team, and we have got a huge operation going on, almost more than 600 researchers on the ground at the moment. So we have taken a policy decision that, okay, wheresoever they are having a law and order problem, we will be conducting the post poll a day or two later, when the, that kind of tension is settled down a bit after the polling. We are trying our level best, but then there is a scenario, Rahul, where one can do, a journalist, a researcher can do what they can do on the ground. Beyond that, there are things which become out of your hand and out of your reach.
Hats off to you, Yashwant Deshmukh, hats off to you. Let's open this up. Do stay with me, because I want to enter into a debate, and Gaurav Bhatia is there with us, and Suparno Moitra is there with us of the TMC. And I want to first begin with the TMC and ask the TMC representative here a direct question. Now, you see, sir, as we move forward, phase 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Mr. Moitra, it's the triple M factor, the Matwa, the Mahila and the Muslims. But, sir, are you sure of these votes? It is being said that women are shaken by what happened to Shobha Majumdar. Matwas are upset with the TMC for the anti-CA stand and cut money. I'm not saying it. This is an assessment that is being made by journalistic colleagues across media. And Muslims have the Congress left ISF and Owaisi option, which Mamata Banerjee has referred to. So, sir, how does this work for you?
Mr. Shivshankar, a very good evening to you, sir.
To you too,
and to all my respected fellow panelists this evening. Now, the first point, I was hearing you. Unfortunately, I can't see you, but I can hear you. And I was hearing that you are explaining seat by seat You're talking about swings, about a 2% swing or a 1% swing. But you were comparing two different things. You're comparing an apple and an orange, sir. Because if you look at, you'll have to compare 2016 and 2021. So just to look at 2019 and to draw conclusions from there with regard to assembly constituencies would slightly be off target, sir. One.
Okay.
Second, I have heard both you and Yashwant sir also talking about possibilities. Both of you refrained from use the word probability. So anything could be a possibility, but in the world of, but whether it's a probability or not is the question that all of us need to deliberate and discuss. Point number two. Point number three, you spoke about the 3M factor. Now, I've heard about large corporation and 3M, but now you mentioned about what exactly you mean by 3M. You mentioned about minority community Muslim. You spoke about
Mahila and Matwa.
Mahila and Matwa, if I... Right. Now, I will answer one by one, sir. With regard to Matwa, whether they maybe everybody could be happy with the current government like the TMC for some reason, and there could be a lot of gaps for which different sections of the people may be very unhappy with us, and we make our attempts to fulfill that. But having said that, maybe the Mathuas are much more unhappy with the Bhartiya Janata Party because it's the carrot of CAA that they keep on dangling in front of them for the last 14, 15 months. And the deputy of the Minister, Mr. Nitin, on the 2nd of February 2021 on Parliament mentioned because they requested another 6 months extension for the booth to get framed. So we can understand how serious they are about CAA, but our position about Mathuas are very clear. We have said that they are citizens of the country, so they did not need any other document to prove their citizenry to this country. And if they were not a citizen, how Dr. Shantanu Thakur, who happens to be the member of parliament from the Bhartiya Janata Party, could become a member of the parliament if he was not an Indian citizen? And he also accompanied our Prime Minister to the Bangladesh visit. Point number one, sir. Point number two, with regard to Mahila, I think one area, particularly where we have done very well, sir, is with regard to the empowerment of women. We have done very well, and particularly two schemes with regard to the Kanyashree and the Rupashree, and also Sabooj Sathi, the cycle program. They have got rave reviews and acclaims from the United Nations. So this has really empowered the women. So that they are not happy with us, I would also like to learn more about it. But I can understand the women are definitely not happy with Prime Minister Modi, because from April 2020 to January 2021, if we look at the excise collections, there have been a 300% jump in the collections of the central government, 2.94 lakh crore. The petrol excise duty has gone up by 64.8%, sir, and on the diesel, 101.8%. And the cooking gas, sir, the much talked about Ujjwala Yojana and the refill gas, it has gone up to 819 rupees, only a 10 rupees discount given as an election concession to be taken back once the elections are getting over. So third comes the minority, particularly the Muslims. If you're using the word, let me tell you, for us, inclusiveness is an article of faith for us, and we don't distinguish between different communities, and we follow what is enshrined in the Constitution. And they may have genuine reasons. Each community, each interest group may have genuine reasons to be unhappy with us, and there could be a lot of bright spots for the Trinamool Congress, which will see us through, sir, for the third term.
Okay, let me bring in Gaurav Bhatia on all those 3 points, response to what the TMC spokesperson has said. Mr. Bhatia.
Yeah, Rahul, first of all, I would like to start with the words of Narendra Modi ji while he was addressing a rally in West Bengal. And he clearly echoed the sentiment of the Bengalis in West Bengal and other citizens in West Bengal when he said that Mamata Di is frustrated. And she knows that she has not just lost Nandigram, but she has also lost the state of West Bengal. He made a very important point that a state cannot be governed through a narrow and pedantic viewpoint. When you start calling people from other states Bahari and you say that Rohingya are like our brothers and they should be treated at par with the citizens of our country, you are actually violating the oath of the constitution that you've taken. And very strange that the spokesperson of the TMC is far more effective than Mamata Banerjee when it comes to placing the report card or the performance card of Mamata Banerjee's last 10 years of governance. Because we have not seen Mamata Banerjee actually talking about what she has done, even for the 3 M's as we were discussing. I would only say we need to join the dots. And what are the dots? First of all, a very nervous Mamata changed her seat from Bhawanipur to Nandigram. Why did she do that? Because she knew that she would lose from Bhawanipur, not realizing she's also losing from Nandigram. Then she started with the Chandi part. She is the same Mamata Banerjee that indulged in communal politics for the last 5 years. And we all know how the Kolkata High Court reprimanded the Mamata Banerjee government for not even allowing Hindus to have the procession for Durga idol immersion. Then she started blaming the Election Commission of India, which continues till today. Even today she was complaining. And it's very strange, Rahul, that in presence of paramilitary forces, a citizen feels very secure. But Mamata Banerjee is clearly not very happy with the heavy presence of paramilitary forces. Now, I just want to answer on the 3 M's also. On the Mahila bit, as you rightly said, the family members of Shobha Majumdar ji are looking for justice. Would Mamata Banerjee is telling them the Gotra that she is a chandelier ensure justice for Shobha Majumdar? Mr. Suparno is aware, most likely, because he's a very learned man, that when it comes to the incidence of attempt to murder, West Bengal is amongst the highest in the country. When it comes to acid attack on women, it is the highest. Ishrat Jahan, when she was reciting Hanuman Chalisa, the TMC goons threatened her and her minor child. Where was Mamata Banerjee then? Now coming to the second M. Second M is not just Muslims, it is minority appeasement. How blatantly they violate the constitution. Just 2 days back, Sheikh Alam, a TMC leader, said, we are 30%, Rahul, and we need to assert ourselves, and we can create 4 Pakistans in India. What has Mamata Banerjee said on that? Nothing. That shows the communal politics. तुम दूध देने वाली गाय हो, मैं तुम्हारी दुलत्ती भी सहूंगी. And the third is Matua Samaj. For the Matua Samaj, we all saw how during the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, they voted in favor of the BJP because they felt neglected with the policies of the Mamata Banerjee government. And now we are very hopeful that they will again vote for the BJP for the simple reason that the Matua Samaj that came from and portions of undivided India and settled in India were waiting for their citizenship. That was not to be. And therefore, CAA will ensure that they get a life full of dignity, and CAA will ensure their citizenship. And that is why we think that it is all about development, as Narendra Modi ji, Amit Shah ji and JP Nadda ji is saying. And on the other side, there is a nervous Mamata which is indulging in politics of communal hatred and also attacking the constitutional authority.
I'm just making a statement summing up what the 3 or 4 points that Mr. Bhatia made. Number one, you said that Mamata Banerjee doesn't discriminate between communities, but the High Court itself pulled her up for discrimination. Number two, you said that she doesn't discriminate between communities, but you have a situation where Owaisi and other Muslim leaders have come out and pulled up Mamata Banerjee for emphasizing her gotra, saying that what does that mean? That other Muslims who don't have a gotra are not in Mamata's scheme of things? Number 3, you said that she doesn't discriminate between communities, but sir, when it comes to defining Hindus, they are rebuked by the TMC. They are called people Rakshasas with chutials. Now, sir, this doesn't square with your claims of being a party that is inclusive. Then, of course, there is a constitutional issue also. When you describe people as outsiders, says the Bhartiya Janata Party, as you know, the Constitution doesn't distinguish between Indian citizens on the basis of where they are settled. So, very, very important. The BJP says that is also hypocritical of you. You talk about women empowerment, but you have crimes against women. And therefore, your particular arguments are hollow. So, very quick response to Mr. Bhatia on these issues before I bring in Shahzad and I open the ambit of this discussion. Also, Yashwant Deshmukh. Yes.
I will respond to all the points. One, I also have a great deal of respect for Gaurav Bhatia ji. Now he is doing his duty as the BJP spokesperson, but the truth lies somewhere else. Now, with regard to the immersion that they are talking about, there was a circular issued 3 years back because on a given day, the immersion date and a particular program was conflicting.
No, Mr. Moitra,
So
Mr. Moitra, I think what he's referring to, what he's referring to, Mr. Moitra, is the decision by the Mamata Banerjee government to give stipends to the priests of one particular, the clerics of one particular community to the exclusion.
Also,
that is where the High Court, the court stepped in.
Sir.
Also, sir, the UP government managed the situation. Muharram clashed with Durga Puja, but in UP, there was no altering of the times. No one was stopped from immersing their idols.
No, sir, let me respond to the...
Yeah.
No, sir. Sir, let me respond to you. So this was a particular case, but a circular was issued, and then and it was a circular which was issued to have the immersion done on the next day. So then the Bhartiya Janata Party had approached the High Court, and the High Court had said that up to 8:30 the immersion should be allowed, and the High Court order, of course, did prevail. But there was nothing, there was no appeasement about this particular decision of the government of West Bengal. That's point number one. Point number two, which to the lady whose death was very, very tragic. Shobha
No, you skipped a
Majumdarji.
point. Mr. Moitra, I'm talking about Mr. Owaisi, who attacked Mamata Banerjee. Now, Mr. Owaisi is from the minority community.
I was going chronologically, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I was going chronologically,
Okay.
but if you want me to give precedence to this, I will do that, sir.
Yeah, please.
The way
please.
you would want, I will do that, sir.
Yeah, let's
but
talk
I would
about
answer all, sir.
discrimination.
Right.
Yeah.
So with regard...
Mr. Owaisi, yeah. Go ahead.
No, let me talk about Shobha. No, I will talk about OSC since you have asked me to talk about that first. See, with regard to these various programs like Kanyashree, Ruposhri, Sabooj Sathi that I was talking about, there's no discrimination as far as the religion is concerned. There was only a gender-specific discrimination, and Didi herself admitted, because Sabooj Sathi cycles are given to only
he's
girls,
talking about the
girls
Gotra issue.
who are in class 9.
Okay, one minute. Let me just step in. One second, sir. I wanted a quick response, but we are going to have another 10-minute response from you. So make your points very quickly and pithily. I'm talking about Owaisi's response to Mamata Banerjee declaring her Gotra. And that really upset the Muslim community. And Mr. Owaisi has come out there and said that this is an insult to them. Mr. Poonawala is here with us. He is from the minority community. Do you believe Mr. Owaisi was trying to be mischievous, Mr. Poonawala, or does he have a valid point?
No, he has a valid point and it's backed by some valid politics. Let us understand what is happening in Bengal. Rahul, from today, if we see the next few phases, which areas that are going to go to poll.
Yeah.
And they are Nadia, Bardhaman, North 24 Parganas, South 24 Parganas, Murshidabad, Malda. Now let's come to Murshidabad and Malda. That's the place where OAC now is making an entry. You'd remember that first he was going to back ISF. But the moment ISF said, I'm going to ally with the left, now it's become a love triangle for the Muslim vote. The love triangle being Mamata and TMC on one hand, the left Congress ISF alliance on the other hand, and OAC on the third hand. Now they're all going in for the Malda, Murshidabad, heavily dominated Muslim vote. Now another interesting fact which my friend Yashwant will bear out. This election, the 1M that we are not speaking about, you put out the 3 M's perfectly. The 4th M that will be added is mobilization. And you know mobilization of whom? The mobilization of the subalterns. The election of Bengal is actually based on subalterns. Wherever the Muslim population is high, and there are a lot of pockets, Uttar Dinajpur, Nadia, Murshidabad, Malda, the BJP, you can say, has got a demographic dividend with the fact that the SC/ST population is also high in those pockets. And let us not forget, Bengal, you would think that Uttar Pradesh has a high SC/ST population. Bengal is number 2 when it comes to the scheduled caste population. 127 seats that are affected by this population of 23%. And that's where the BJP has mastered its art of pushing the Hindutva narrative. Now, it doesn't matter. Facts, the facts you can quibble about. Mr. Moitra can keep his explanations to himself. The fact is, Mamata is looking like a Muslim appeaser, and therefore, she is feeling the pressure to now to chant mantra, to show her gotra and do all of these tactics. But the fact is that the image has established that she is anti-Hindu, and on the other hand, in trying to correct that image, which PK may have advised her for, she's losing the Muslim vote as well.
Okay, one second. Before I bring back Mr. Bhartiya and Mr. Suparno Moitra, I want to bring in Yashwant Deshmukh and Tausif Ahmed. Yashwant Deshmukh, this is important because, Shehzad refers to it. I think the BJP has picked up on something. Whether it bears them result or not, we don't know. But certainly by positioning Mamata Banerjee as an individual prevaricating on her affections for the Hindu community, they might have struck some sort of a vein of empathy. I don't know. But I want to ask you a converse question. Why do the Muslims need a party of their own in Bengal when they have so-called secular alternatives in the TMC, Congress and the left? There must be some gap there that OAC, ISF, all of them have come up.
Well, that's precisely the question, because the Muslim voters have started questioning to all those traditional parties where they have put up their faith in the last so many elections, and they have started questioning, about the real things, real development, the real issues that concern them. And there is a certain level of fatigueness in a way that they feel that they are being taken for granted. And there is a new generation of Muslim voters who can actually see through this. And this is why you can see that manifested as their protest vote, I would say, if I say, when they vote for parties like Peace Party, sometime ad hoc in UP, or you see 5 people from AIMM ticket getting elected in Bihar, or for that matter, ISF getting some traction in Bengal. However, having said that, there is no surprise in guessing that their prime objective is to ensure that they can defeat the BJP. And to do that, if they feel TMC is the most suitable party to do so, my understanding is that in those seats, majority of the seats, they would stick to the TMC candidate. That's what my understanding, my political understanding says. But yes, the point which Shahzad raised, that is the point which has actually changed the political narrative of this country in the last 6 odd years.
That's
7
important.
years, to be precise. Now.
That's very important.
What the last 7 years, the elections, last 7 years have underlined very clearly, Rahul, that you can win elections by being a pro-Muslim party in India. No issues with that. But probably you are not going to win any election by being an anti-Hindu party anymore in India.
That's interesting. And if that impression sticks, then the maths will swing, as I told you, viewers, in the favor of the BJP. And it's all about signaling, communication, mobilization. is the BJP going to succeed in doing that? The Prime Minister, Amit Shah, Mr. Nadda, all making a focused attempt at shaking what they believe is the Hindu vote, the subaltern Hindu vote on top of it, away from Mamata, as Shadad pointed out. Okay, now let me bring in Tausif Ahmed before I go back to Gaurav Bhartiya and Suparno Moitra as we're running out of time. Tausif Ahmed, I want to ask you this question. Mr. Owaisi was very upset. Your other fellow Muslim brothers were also upset with Mamata Banerjee for pointing out her goitra, revealing her gotra. They said, why are you excluding us, the people who don't have a gotra? Do you agree with him? Do you
Rahul,
do you think it's right to enter into this game of competitive Hindutva communalization?
No, we have seen in Delhi election, similar charge was made against Kejriwal when he chanted Hanuman Chalisa, when he visited Hanuman Mandir.
No, but Muslims are making this charge.
No, the similar questions were raised from different corners that Kejriwal is falling in the trap of BJP. He is now trying to prove himself as a better Hindu and he will not win the election. But what happened ultimately? Kejriwal did win the election. Similarly, in Bengal election, while Mamata Banerjee is doing the Chandi path and reminding the people of Bengal that he is a better Hindu, he does not need to be
sorry to interrupt you
from BJP.
The fundamental,
he will win the election.
The fundamental difference between Delhi and Bengal. The fundamental difference between Delhi and Bengal is that Kejriwal was delivering to the poor. Here, Bengal, the cut money and the syndicate culture has ensured that even the Amphan money hasn't gone to the poor. And therefore, that kind of showing your Hindu credentials at the eve of the election is not going to pay dividends. But one thing you've shown is that PK has supplied the same toolkit to everybody. It seems PK has given the same toolkit to Mamata, Kejriwal, DMK in the south. I think that toolkit is same for everybody.
Toolkit to Narendra Modi in 2014.
Okay, very quickly, let me bring in Gaurav Bhatia. Gaurav Bhatia, one second. Let me just come in. Gaurav Bhatia, very quickly, I need an answer from you because we are also going to be joined by Dilip Ghosji in just a few moments. Now, I just want to ask you, why will be people convinced of Jai Shri Ram when, sir, your party has opened doors to defectors from the TMC who sang a very different tune, are now some of your poster candidates and they are chanting Jai Shri Ram? Mr. Bhatia.
Rahul, let me first answer your question and then I'll respond to what Suparno ji said because factually somewhere he erred also. Let me make it very clear that we take a lot of pride in, saying Jai Shri Ram. It's a way of salutation also. But when you criminalize it, when you become allergic to it, Hindus are very tolerant by nature. But look at the debate only, or look at the political discourse of Mamata Banerjee. 30% Muslim, 4 Pakistans, 25% Muslims, we need their vote. I would only say what would happen if the Hindus unite. Just think over it. The Hindu pride that has been hurt. You remember when Mamata Banerjee got off her car and she said, अगर जय श्री राम बोला तो तुम्हारी चमड़ी उधेड़ दूंगी. I think it is important that we be tolerant, but we also have to preserve, protect, and take pride in our identity. And that is a very important point, which is going to take place in the elections. My second point is what Narendra Modi ji is saying. People don't want to know your gotra, Rahul. People are asking, why were 75 lakh farmers deprived of a central scheme which could benefit them? People are asking, during the Amphan cyclone, when aid was sent by the central government, why did it not reach the beneficiaries? And people are asking, when Ayushman Yojana was implemented by the central government, why is it that West Bengal did not implement it? And in the end, just in the language of the court, 2017, when Durga idol immersion was not allowed, but taziyas could be taken out, this is one line from the judgment, and I quote, the court directed that Director General and Commissioner of all respective commissionerates in the state to specify a separate route for immersion of Durga idol and taziyas, and shall ensure that such routes do not overlap each other. This is an example. I can quote the 2016 judgment also. Okay. And then the High Court also reprimanded Mamata Banerjee that why are you giving stipends to the Maulanas but not to the priests in the temple. And last but not the least, let's not...
I've quoted that. Bhartiya Saab, I just want your very straight answer. There are two things that the Prime Minister constantly talks about: cut money, corruption, and he talks about, of course, Didi's allergy, alleged allergy to Jai Shri Ram. Now, on both these questions, I have a counter question on both these issues to you. If you want Asal Poriborton in Bengal, why are you taking people from the cut money party into your fold? How does that guarantee Poriborton? Number one. Number two, you're taking individuals from Mamata's fold who have never chanted Jai Shri Ram either. And they've never come out and told Didi publicly that it is wrong when they were in that party to oppose people who are chanting Jai Shri Ram. So how do they fit your outlook? I can't understand. And how will you guarantee Poriborton with such baggage?
I will answer both of them. First of all, I think the ideology of the organization and what the tallest leader does also ensures that the party is led by an example, and then, other leaders also follow. It is the culture of the TMC that cut money was prevalent. We all know Mamata Banerjee herself said, "Thoda thoda rakho, baki lauta do." That was Mamata Banerjee herself. So one thing is clear, that a leader, when he joins a BJP, he has to conform to the ideology and to whatever the diktat and the ideology of the supreme leader is. And second, all these leaders who have joined, if they were facing charges, they have not been proven guilty, but Rahul, they were still interrogated and investigated by the agencies even after joining of the BJP. And on Jai Shri Ram, I would only say this, that there was no reason for Mamata Banerjee to be allergic to the slogan of Jai Shri Ram. And I think by being allergic, she has distanced herself from the Hindus, and a lot of people have been hurt because she showed such acidic behavior.
Okay, Mr. Moitra, you heard the BJP quick response. It's the culture of the TMC. It's the outlook of the leader which has spawned this rebellion. People have left your party because they didn't like the fact that Mamata Banerjee was alienating Hindus.
No. Mr. Shivshankar, how can there be a quick response? Because I think there are paragraphs after paragraphs being mentioned. So it just can't be a quick response. I can just mention in one line that all that I individually and the party has a lot of respect for the chair of the Prime Minister, but the current incumbent is oblivious of the gravitas of his position. And the language that he uses is something which does not merit a response, one. Second thing, we have seen the list of nominees for the Bhartiya Janata
doesn't glorify herself.
It has a lopsided. No, please allow. No, please, no, please, no, Mr. Punewala. No, Mr. Punewala. No, Mr. Punewala. Please allow me to answer.
Let him respond. Let him respond.
Please allow me to. No, please don't do this. Please don't do this, Mr. Punewala.
Carry on. I'll speak after you, sir. Please carry on. Don't lose your temper, please.
No, I'm carrying on. Please don't do that, sir. I kept quiet, sir. No, I'm not, sir.
Right,
I kept quiet, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Now, if you look at the list of nominees for the Bhartiya Janata Party, there's a lopsided presence of turncoats from the Trinamool Congress, from the Congress, and the left party, which now totals around 150. Now, argument's sake, Shehzad Punewala ji and Gaurav Bhatia ji would also agree that in an unlikely event of their winning the election and forming the government, it will be an assortment of legislators who are a combination of erstwhile disgruntlement and potential rewards. Mr. Shivshankar.
Okay, very quickly. I'm really running out of time. So, Shehzad Punewala, I'll give you the floor for 30 seconds. I have no more time after that, please.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
The TMC also took a lot of people when it came to power the first time from the left party. So, this culture of switching parties on the eve of the election is quite common in Bengal. The real factor is that who can defeat Mamata is the sentiment. It's a sentiment because of the institutionalized and monopolization of corruption and the anti-Hindu image. Now, politics is a game of perceptions. This is the perception that Mamata has. She's trying to correct it, but she's not succeeded so far.
Okay, we don't know. The results will tell us that. I leave it at this, viewers, but the bottom line is this. If the BJP needs to win, it has some work cut out for itself. I have told you that it requires a strike rate. If it has won in phase 1 and 2, the seats that have been predicted by Amit Shah, then it requires a strike rate of 47%. If its strike rate in phase 1 and 2 has declined over what it was in 2019, then it will require a strike rate in the remaining 6 phases of 52%. And if it actually retains all the seats it won in phase 1 and 2 in 2019, then it only requires a strike rate of 50%, viewers. But fundamentally, if there is a swing of 1% in its favor above and beyond the vote share it garnered for itself in 2019, the BJP will come close to power. To guarantee defeating Mamata Banerjee, it requires a 2% swing in its favor over and above its 2019 vote share performance. That is the equation. I leave it at that.